And here we are back with another episode of ELF Live. I am your co-host, Nick Alf here. I'm here with my co-host, Silas Nasita. As you can see, he just came back from the dentist. Silas, how's it going, man?
It's pretty good. I've been trying to drink water for the last hour, and it just keeps spilling all over my face.
Yeah.
And so I'm just glad that I can talk because an hour ago I sounded like a Muppet.
So, hey, man, you sound great. You look great. And we're all here supporting you with your dentist recovery. So this is going to be a good show. We got a great show today. And we are kicking things off with a very exciting special guest. You guys maybe saw we had some announcements. There's going to be a big announcement today on the show. Well, we're hitting it off with a bang. The CEO of the European League of Football, Zeljko, welcome to the show, sir.
Hello. Thank you for having me here.
Awesome.
Zeljko, I had to do a little bit of research on you. So you actually are from Croatia, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And so the proper greeting in Croatia is what? Zdravo.
Zdravo, dobar dan, dobro večer. So we had a lot of things that we can do, but Zdravo works as well. So you're good prepared.
Yeah. How many languages do you speak?
To be honest, I would say 3. In school, I have learned, I had the Latinum, but as we know, this language doesn't bring you through anything. So it's at least 3. And if you say it's not only Croatian, it's Serbian, it's Bosnian, it's I don't know what, then it would be even more. But I would say it's 3. It's 3, only 3.
I had the pleasure of visiting Croatia last year for the first time. And it is definitely the hidden gem of Europe. I lived in Europe for about 6 years before I ever went to Croatia. And why is it? I know we got to get real quick into this, but real quick, why is Croatia not so much known about, whereas everyone in America goes to Italy or France?
Honestly, I don't know. I thought since the soccer players were that successful, the last 2 World Cups, what I realized when I was there, and I'm every year there, a lot of Chinese people and a lot of Americans made it to Dubrovnik, to Split, to the big cities. So I think it's becoming more and more common also for the American to come over. And to be honest, it's the more beautiful side of the coast of the Adria than on the other side. So I would always recommend to everybody to move looking forward on the left side and to Croatia.
There we go. Croatia, a country that's trending in the right direction. And another thing that's trending in the right direction is our lovely football league, the European League of Football. And Zeljko, you are here today because you've got a pretty special announcement. We'd like to turn it over to you to talk a little bit about what this announcement is and what the people have to look forward to.
Yes. First of all, we announced, I think, last Tuesday, the schedule of the next season. And what we realized was, yes, a lot of people talking about one special thing is that we will play more than 30% of our games in the 4th season in big stadiums and big arenas. So we are moving forward. That's what I'm honestly, after 3 seasons right now, most proud of, because we are playing in 50, 60,000 people arenas. Yesterday, Munich Ravens announced their one game in Nuremberg, for example, another huge game. And we expect, and don't think I'm totally crazy, I said last year we will have around about 500,000 of people watching our games on site, and we did it. We were close to 500,000. And this season, although we don't play much more games than last year, we will have, I'm sure, because of the big arenas, close to 750,000 people watching the ELF games in the stadiums and the arenas through Europe. So this is one big thing that I'm really excited about it. And as I see, we're in Hamburg close to 10,000 people. Tickets sold now. We're in January, and the game will be played in July. So that's I think that we will see then in a half a year when we start the season that we will have pick-packed stadiums, full arenas with people that are celebrating football. And this brought us to another point, and this is the announcement today. So the ELF will, in this fourth season, for the first time, introduce and organize an international game. So we will be with 2 franchises in a country and hosting in a country that is not known for a franchise so far. So they're just inviting us. We will be there. We will play a game, a regular season game. It's not an exhibition game. It's a real regular season game. And I promise you, we will announce more about it, which teams will play, which will the home team be, and what was the guest team. But one thing that I can say today, we will announce this next Wednesday. And the other thing is, I promise you, this will be one of the biggest parties after the championship game, because everything around it and everything what we just discussing with the host in this country was that warm and warm welcomed that we expect really to be there a 2 or 3 days party celebrating American football.
This is absolutely massive, huge news for the league. Really, really exciting. So we'll find out a little bit more next week, you said. Chat right now, you guys feel free to put your predictions in, what country you think it's going to be in, who's going to play in that. Feel free to give us your predictions there. Zeljko, this is huge. Why is this the move for the ELF right now? What do you hope to get out of an international game?
So what we said from the very beginning, and don't forget, 3 years ago, we started and we had 8 teams together. It was hard enough to bring these 8 teams together. Now we are starting the 4th season with 17 teams from 9 countries. This is a huge progress. This is great from this standpoint, but this is not the end point. So what we are doing is, we always said we want to have a league with 24 teams and want to play in at least 15 European countries to cover all of our nice Europe with American football and bringing out the vision of American football and the ELF to all countries in Europe. So, and to do so, and just to promote American football and to see the enthusiasm from the people outside there, that's the reason for these international games that we will go on now from this season on, and just promoting this game in these countries, and see if we maybe start with another franchise in this country or in other countries. But from the distribution standpoint, it's really necessary and important to take this vision out and to bring American football to countries where never a regular season game was played, or never American football on a high level was played. That's our goal for this year.
That's so great. That's something that Nick and I have always been so excited about. Obviously, we played football and we've gone all around the world to play football. Can you share a little bit about why you personally are so interested in seeing American football go around Europe?
I always said, from my perspective, it's a lot of work through a season, and as you can imagine, it's not always funny, and it's not always eating sweets when preparing the season. So it's real hard work. But remember our last championship game in Duisburg, and normally if you're in other stadiums, and even at the Super Bowl, I was there often, once the referee whistles and the game is over, let's say 50% of the crowd moves out of the stadium. That's normal, and even at the time when Brady was winning his Super Bowl, 50% was out and another 50 was standing there and let's say saying hello to Brady when he got his championship ring. But in our case, last year in Duisburg, 10 minutes after the game, no one went out of this, and and they were singing, not because we put in the music, so they were singing from their own side, so ein wunderschöner Tag wie heute. This was my moment of the year, and this was something, not only my moment, I was really proud of, because 32,000 people came in. They were watching for 3 hours a game. Most of them arrived at 12, so they were at the end 8 hours on the Sunday there and were not moving and singing. This was a great day. So this is something that pushes you, that gives you also the energy to go forward. And this kind of singing, that's what I want to hear also in other countries, bringing out American football and sharing our vision of having fun, being entertainment, and being professional football.
Wow. Zeljko, that's awesome, man. And that's it. That's exactly what is so special about American football here in Europe. And on that day, I remember that was a crazy thing. Cause just like you said, it's not, you don't really see that in the States with games, but we're seeing that here in Europe. And it's a monumental thing, what you guys have done, getting this league started and getting it to this point. And it is just a very exciting time for American football in Europe. And you're a huge part of that, and a huge thanks goes to you. So thank you so much for that. Thanks for sharing today with us this exciting information, and that people can stay tuned, because on Wednesday we'll get some more details for the international game, first ever international game for the European League of Football. Zeljko, thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
Thank you very much, and have fun with the show today. Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Wow, man. International.
Yeah. I mean, what are your thoughts on games right now? I mean, we both played games in different countries. As far as fan bases go, do you think it's going to be successful to bring two teams? I mean, that means that you got to think 80% of their fans are probably not going to those games if it's in a different country. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's going to be successful?
That's a good point. I think that'll be successful just based off of the kind of the marketing power of it and the excitement for football in Europe. I mean, you know, it's like, I don't want to compare it to an NFL game, but for example, like people purchased tickets for these NFL games in Europe, not knowing what teams are going to be playing. They just want to go see a football game. I think the fact that it's going to be kind of the first one, I know they'll probably put a lot of marketing and effort into it and kind of make it not just a football game, but sort of a celebration of football and sort of the celebration of the expansion of football in Europe. So I kind of see it, an international game like this, like less as just a game being played on the field, but more of a event for growing the game. So in that sense, I feel like it'll be successful. What do you think?
Well, I think you got to start somewhere. I think it's a great idea to just try. Like, if you want to do something that's never been done before, you have to be willing to try things that have never been tried before. And that's, you know, maybe the stadium isn't filled up and the country wherever they play isn't all about it, you know. But how can you ever expand or do something differently if you don't try and put yourself out there? So I'm very, very curious to hear what people think, and I'm really curious about next Wednesday when that announcement happens, what all those people think about it.
That's true, man. Me too. And one point that I'll say before we move on is that you know, I really admire kind of what these guys have been doing in terms of just expanding the game and growing the game. When the ELF was first announced, people all said, oh, this league will never play a down of football. It'll never play a game. And it started out, and then it's grown each year, gotten more popular each year, and kind of the vision and the task of what Zeljko has done and what this team has done to get the league to this point. It's a group that I would bet on. So that's kind of how I feel about it. And yeah, I'm excited to see what happens on Wednesday, man.
Well, here's the deal, Nick. I mean, you and I both, and everyone who loves the sport of American football, we want to see it grow. And as much as you can criticize leagues that are trying, it's like, well, they're trying, right? We got to unify. The people who love it want to see it grow. You got to unify with somebody, and the ELF is the thing that's been doing the most to grow the sport. So it's like, sure, they're going to have their problems like everybody else, but I'm on board with anybody who's actually trying to do something. I'm not on board with people who are just like, hey, we want to see it grow, but we're just going to sit around and criticize and not do anything to help grow it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm with you 100%. I don't love that. So anyway, exciting news. We've got to move on a little bit, but there we go. And guys, we see your guesses here in the chat. Jamal Athletes Forum, Ireland would be dope. That would be dope. I like that. But anyway, moving on, there's going to be more games played in large stadiums. actually this year. The Wroclaw Panthers announced that they'll play their season opener at, Silas, try and pronounce this arena's name.
Oh, dude, that's easy, man. The Tarczynski. The Tarczynski.
Obviously, the Tarczynski Arena.
It's obviously the Tarczynski.
Well, yeah, obviously. It's got a capacity of 45,000. They're going to play their season opener there. It hosted a UEFA Conference League final or one of these major soccer games.
You don't know anything about soccer, bro. Don't
Hey,
try to pretend like you know soccer.
The real sport.
You don't know soccer, bro.
Silas, I play FIFA, bro. Okay, I play FIFA.
That don't mean anything, bro. You're calling it soccer, which means that you're clearly not a true football fan.
You call it football?
No, I don't call it, but I'm not pretending like I am a soccer fan.
You know what? You got me. Okay, you got me. So Panthers are playing in a big stadium, which is awesome. That's not the only team actually. A rivalry game that I'm very excited about, Surge Munich, that's like really started to blow up this past year. That game is going to be played at a big stadium in Nuremberg, Max Morlock Stadion, 50,000 person capacity. And the thing, this is an exciting one, and this is one that I think could sell a lot of tickets, Silas, because these two teams have big fan bases. It's close to both the fan bases. Mm-hmm. Things like they traded games last year. Surge 1-1, Munich 1-1. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. My first thought on the whole big stadiums thing was, okay, it's kind of like a double-edged sword here, because it's like you get a big stadium so that you can get more people in there, but at the same time, if you walk into a stadium, if you've ever been in a game that has 20% capacity, it doesn't feel like that great of an environment. And so I'm almost like, is it a good move to really jump to all these big stadiums? I don't know, because imagine if you're a first time fan, right? And you go to a game like this and it's 20% capacity and there's like no energy in the stadium because it feels so empty. You might not want to go back. Right. But at the same time, again, I guess you just got to try. You got to start trying stuff, because even though it's lower capacity, every time they play a game in these big stadiums, there's more people coming to the games, even if it doesn't feel that way.
Right. No, I'm with you 100%. Here's the somebody just said in the chat, I can't say, Oliver Zimmerman. That's a good point. Putting the games in larger stadiums will attract investors. That's an interesting point. That's kind of, I don't know. I didn't even really think about that. I do like that teams aren't doing like multiple in the season. Like they've got their regular stadium, and like every team, or not every team, but these handful of teams have their one big game or big stadium game. And that's kind of like a special one of the year. Like we have seen success with it with the Hamburg one that was sold out, but we'll see how that all goes. But I mean, I know for sure I'm going to be at this Ravens Munich game at this stadium in Nuremberg. That's not too far. That's not too far from me too.
It's exciting though. I will say it's exciting. I mean, this is something that you never thought was even possible. So the fact that it's a thing is like,
true.
Yo, American football is for real. And another person who it's for real for, we got some big signing news.
That was a good transition. That was a good transition.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying to learn from you, because I don't do this whole thing real seamlessly. I'm pretty just blunt about things, but
I know it's great. We got
your boy re-signed. We found out this week, Riley Hennessy re-signed for the Stuttgart Surge. That was a big question. I know he's getting older and he's been out there for a while. I actually thought he was going to be done. He was going to retire, but you know him better than I do. So why do you think he's coming back?
I think that I was shocked that he even was seriously considering retiring. Riley has been saying he's going to retire every year since like 2020. He's like, this is my last year. This is my last year again. And so every year Riley thinks he's going to retire. It felt to me like, and Riley, I wanted to tell you this. It felt like a very unnatural time for him to retire. He's clearly in his peak. The Surge are in a very exciting time. He helped turn that franchise around. When he came back from his injury, he played great, led the team to the championship game, all this stuff. So to me, it felt like the obvious choice to stay and keep playing, at least do another year. And maybe it took Riley a little bit of time, but I'm happy that he came around, and I'm sure Coach Newman, who is a great recruiter, maybe, kicked him in the right direction. So Riley, let's run it back. Let's do it again.
Yeah, that's a huge signing for the Surge. Anytime you can get that consistency, but yeah,
exactly,
it's kind of expected. But let's keep going on. We got, I think, 5 or 6 more that we want to talk about today. Yeah. The Vienna Vikings actually just signed Hunter Nichols. Now this is interesting. This is what's interesting about Hunter Nichols is this is his first season in Europe. And we've talked about this before. Those are big risks to take, those guys who've never played overseas. But they are going with the dual DBs with Nichols and Edwards in the Vienna Vikings defensive backfield. What do you think about that signing?
I think you and I both think, obviously, like, you're gambling when you take a first time in Europe guy. The one thing I will say is I know from talking to Jordan, who used to coach at the Vienna Vikings under Coach Chris Galikai, the Vienna does a really good job and does their due diligence on their American imports. And a lot of times they get long-term American imports. So I'm betting they like this guy, obviously, as a football player, but they like him as a person. There's a few franchises and a few coaches that I would trust to hit on a first-time American in Europe. And Kalaikai and the Vienna Vikings are one of them. He seems legit. He played in 47 games in college. And yeah, it seems pretty legit. So, and I do like that they're doing 2 A's at DB. I think that's a smart move. So we've got that. And then Silas, I'm trying to take notes from you on my transitions. We have another DB. Is that good?
Average.
Another DB, an exciting one. Dominique Shelton will be playing for the Barcelona Dragons. He will be playing for his father. His dad, David Shelton, is the head coach. I don't know if this might be the first father-son duo we've got in the ELF. He's 25 years old. He's from Fairfield, California. He played at Mississippi Valley State, Northwest Missouri State, and then he had stints with the T-Roll Raiders and the Berlin Thunder in 2022. So he's reunited with his dad. That is an exciting thing for Barcelona. This is the first kind of like exciting news for Barcelona that I've heard in a while. It's all been Madrid, bro.
Yikes. Yikes.
Okay, give us the next one.
The third DB we got is Darius Nash. So Ryan Fire have signed their is this their second defensive import that they've already signed, or this is their first? I think this is their first.
No, I think it's the first. Chat, if you guys know, let us know. I'm pretty sure it's their first.
Yeah. Former XFL player, played at Dixie State and then transferred to Utah Tech. Played in a whole bunch of games at Utah Tech, 4-year starter. In that picture, it looks like he's got some injuries and still playing. So must be a pretty tough guy. Played for the Las Vegas Vipers in the XFL last year. And so this will be his first year over in Europe, I think. So another first year player. This is interesting. I think that's I think what I take away from all these first year signings into this league is you have a lot more interest from American players who are just outside of NFL reach going to Europe, whereas 6, 7, 8 years ago, most of the players that went to Europe, even on the better teams in Europe, were guys that didn't really have that shot at the NFL. They were good in college, but they played at maybe a smaller college, and the NFL or the right below it wasn't really an option. I mean, for me, like, I didn't have a shot at the NFL at all. That's what brought me to Europe in the first place. And so I think this league being a big deal, it's like they market well. And so they're actually these players in America that wouldn't have considered going to Europe before are now considering it.
Right. Exactly, man. And chat has checked us here. Omari Williams, obviously, Ryan Fire's other DB. So yeah, they already announced that Omari signed back. So they're going to DBs as well, which I do think, and I've said it, That's the smart move. I would not, only in very few cases, spend an A spot at linebacker. I think that's the smartest move there. So, another DB for the Rhine Fire. And then we've got an exciting announcement for Paris. Austin Mitchell, wide receiver. He is 25 years old. He's from Alabama. He's the nephew of 3-time NFL All-Pro Brian Mitchell, who's one of the best returners ever. So he played in Dresden last year. I actually got to watch him play, Silas, because they played the Unicorns in like the semifinal game. So I saw it in person, saw him play. Super shifty, super quick. He like really stood out. You know, like sometimes you see like Americans or A's play on the field here in Europe and they just kind of blend in. He stood out a lot. And so I think that's pretty big for Paris. And I like what Paris is doing. I do like what Paris is doing. They're gonna be a good team this year, man.
He kind of gives me Kyle Sweet's like body type in this picture. He kind of looks like him a little bit. I wonder if they were looking for someone probably to replace Kyle Sweet, because I know him and Zach Edwards had been together for like 3 years and they had developed that connection. So they're probably looking for somebody similar to him who's really shifty, can play a lot of inside, could go outside. Probably not looking for a guy who can just run deep balls. I think a shifty receiver is probably more valuable in an American, because you could get, I think it's easier to get like a big body, deep ball European player, but finding someone who's real shifty, running real crisp routes, that's something that probably needs to develop in Europe still.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, man, that Kyle Sweet is kind of like, I don't know if he's retired or what, but he's obviously not being their A.
He retired. Paris made an announcement that he retired.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because they were together for 3 years. So that's another exciting announcement we've got for Paris. And then Silas, you want to bring us in on the next one?
Yeah, Marco Schneider signing with the Raiders. This is his 3rd season with them. 2022 Rookie of the Year. Big signing for the Raiders, because this is a homegrown. So if you can keep your homegrowns, your talented homegrowns is always key to this league. He does look like he's 12 years old in that picture right there.
No, he's only 22. It seems like he's been tearing it up for years. Yeah. Like I remember him from probably 2021, I guess. Unicorns, we played against the Raiders in this like CEFL tournament. And all you hear is just Marco Schneider guy. And it's just, he's a fantastic little player there. And so just like you said, that's huge, especially because he's homegrown. So way to go, Marco Schneider. Big fan of the way you play ball, man. Yeah. And then we've got to round out our signing center. How do we say his first name? Wael Nasri. Silas, how do you pronounce his first name?
Well,
we just call him Nasri. Obviously, the standout linebacker for the Frankfurt Galaxy. Last year is now going a little bit southeast down to Munich, and he'll be joining the Munich Ravens, a team that's really stacking it up. We know Nasri kind of went viral this year for tackling Glenn Tunga, who is in the chat right now, by the way. What's up, Glenn? Tackling him by the hair.
Yeah, hey, Glenn, what do you think about this guy? What are your thoughts? I'd like to see. Comment below.
Good question, Glenn. Do you feel like that? What's your opinion on that tackle? But anyway, not to take anything away from Nasri, absolutely great player. He's from France, so he will be an E for the Ravens this year. He'll be one of their E spots, but that's huge, man. Ravens are putting it together, man. They're gonna be pretty legit.
Yeah. So that's it for our signing center. I think we got a quick break, and then we'll be back with some more special guests.
Commercial break.
I cannot hear her. We're back. We are back, bro. My face is so sore right now. I feel like I put my helmet on. You know how when you get back in the season and you hadn't been wearing a helmet for like 6 months, and then you wear it and then like your whole face just like hurts after the first practice. That's how I feel right now, man. And I haven't been to the dentist. Is it true that you haven't been to the dentist in like 7 years?
Yeah, I mean, if we want to get into it, and I know that people want to know, it's been 6-7 years since I've been to the dentist. You know, the teeth are fine. Maybe I have some hidden cavities, but you know,
you do. You guys should comment below on Nick's bad breath, probably.
There we go. So we have a special guest coming in, but we have to stall right now because we have a little bit of technical difficulties. So I guess we could, Silas, if you want, we could talk about my dentist situation, but well, we're getting Natalia here.
Also, shout out to my boy Goran Zek in the chat. We've been looking for more of our players to get in the chat. Glenn Tunga is always up in this chat.
Glenn's
we're tired of talking to Glenn.
Silas, you see what Glenn said in the chat? We asked him about Nasri. And we said, "What do you think about him?" And he said, "Irrelevant."
Irrelevant. You know what's irrelevant is that one piece of hair that you left on the field.
Oh, wow, a lot of drama. What's up, Gorgie? And let's see if we've got Natalia. Not working. No, we are still having a little bit of technical difficulties with her. Unfortunately.
Natalia, oh, I hear somebody.
Oh, we might. There we go. We hear you. We hear you. Come on in. Bring her in. Bring her in to the show. Natalia, the Stuttgart Surge's strength and conditioning coach. Natalia, good to see you, and thanks for joining us on ELF Live.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Natalia, where are you right now? Are you in Stuttgart?
I am in Stuttgart, yes.
Okay, nice. Obviously, it's an exciting thing to have you on the show here, and you have an extensive background in sport and fitness world. Maybe could you just talk a little bit about how you ended up in this position, being the strength and conditioning coach for the Stuttgart Surge?
So I've been in sports for my entire life, and in person training since 2000. So yes, it's been a while, but the last years, especially as I was living in a state where my big trainer career, I would say, started, I was just always inspired by my mentor, by people who were working with professional players and professional athletes, and that was something that always interested me, and I always had this as a goal. So as a trainer, I was always trying to reach that goal and maybe someday work with maybe more athletes. It was a dream to be with a whole team, but I never thought it would happen. So as I moved back to Stuttgart, I think there were several people who referred me to the head coach. Yeah, so I think it was just word of mouth, and then some people who just knew me from the field, and they referred me to the head coach, and this is how I ended up with the Surge.
Did you have, Natalia, a connection or an interest in American football before you started working with the Surge, or was your interest mainly just in sport in general, in fitness and in training in general, or is this kind of your first taste of American football?
So as I was living in Chicago, I was training a lot of basketball players, and I was involved in some projects where football players were involved as well. But it was not my main thing. No, I was developing a lot of different athletes. As I came back to Stuttgart, it was a lot of soccer players, martial artists, since I'm from martial arts. But football was never my number one sport. So for me, athlete is an athlete. I have to know, I just need to know what does he have to do, like what type of skills does he have to do, and this is what I'm trying to help him with. So yes, football was a completely new field, but not completely new as, in case of as an athlete.
Right. And how then, Natalia, how do you feel after, obviously we got to work pretty closely together and go on the away trips and be involved with the Surge, which was a very special thing. That was a very special team and season for the Surge last year. What is your feeling towards American football now? Did it match your expectations, or was it just a totally whole new world? And I'm assuming you enjoyed it because you're doing it again this year.
Yes, it blew my mind. I was first of all, I was so surprised. The mentality of American football players as athletes is so different than other athletes. You know, like every sport has something, but I was super happy and grateful that I also had Corey Chapman on my side. He's also a strength conditioning coach who knows football and strength conditioning. So he definitely showed me and teach me a lot of football. But yes, it blew my mind. I was super surprised how amazing it is, even as a woman, to work with so many male athletes and still be very respected. And yeah, everything worked out perfectly. That's why I'm back.
Yeah,
Hey,
absolutely. Yeah, go ahead, Silas.
have you ever considered playing American football?
So no, but I was asked to be on a rugby team twice, and I only didn't agree because I was too involved in martial arts and I just didn't have the time. But I think that will be definitely something I might be good at. I don't know.
Oh, totally. I could totally see you being a great football player. That is not a question I would ever ask anybody, any female in America, because nobody really thinks about it in America. But a lot of the girls that I've met in Europe is through football, and they play football, which is really cool. I'd love for you to do one favor for me. At some point this season, if you could just record a video of kicking Nick as hard as you can. I would love to see some of that German kickboxing demonstrated on my good friend Alf.
Oh wow! I thought you would say something like you want to see me on the field, you know, like doing some football drills. I would love to do that.
That would be cool too, but I'm more interested in seeing Nick get kicked by a German kickboxing champion.
Silas is using his powers for evil. There we go. There we go. Yeah, for those who don't know, obviously, Natalia, you were a German kickboxing champion. Last question before we let you go. You touched a little bit on kind of the mentality of being in American football and training American football athletes and how their mentality was surprising and interesting and cool for you. Can you just talk a little bit about what, from your perspective, the mentality of the American football athlete is like?
Oh, it's all about the team, like especially at Stuttgart Surge. It's never just, you know, like this one person. It's never a group of people, a group of, you know, the top athletes. It's always the full team, and everybody's looking after everybody else. So that's how things work at Stuttgart. That's why I'm super happy about it. I think that's also the reason why they were so successful last year. But just the team, the whole team culture here. It's just something. It's different. You know, just the energy, the motivation. I see those guys training already now. You know, like I also do nutrition consultation with them, and you know, like just working on with them already now. We started in December, seeing how motivated they are and how driven they are. That's just special. You know, I know a lot of athletes have those, you know, times off, and it's great to enjoy vacations and to take some time off. But seeing the motivation after and the drive right now, it's just different than in other sports. I guess even during the season and during the practice before the season, you can just tell the energy is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. With you 100%, Natalia. And obviously you mentioned Corey Chapman, who also does strength and conditioning with you with the Stuttgart Surge. You guys have done a phenomenal job with the team last year, and I'm sure you will continue to do so, keeping all those guys healthy and fast and strong. And they owe a lot of success to you guys. Thank you so much, Natalia, for coming on the show, coming on ELF Live. And I'll see you probably pretty soon at a Surge practice.
I'm sure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming.
Bye, Natalia.
Bye.
Cheers.
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 Yeah, Natalia's legit. Her and Corey Chapman, they do the Surge strength and conditioning stuff together, and they've got these guys doing these crazy workouts that I just make every time I see them training and doing stuff. I'm just like, so happy I'm retired.
Yeah. Well, I kind of feel like this is a conflict of interest. You are way too pro Surge for this show. Like,
I am so neutral. Look at, I'm wearing a black t-shirt.
You are
Okay?
not
What's
neutral,
more
at
neutral than a
all.
black t-shirt?
You know way too much about the Surge. It's no wonder they are making it to the championship because you have all this inside information. You're probably giving it away to them.
Conspiracy.
Unbelievable.
Now Surge ELF conspiracy. Get that trending.
I will. Have you been catching up with this chat right now? Glenn is just distracting.
I
me
saw the chat.
I've been trying to listen. I honestly, like, I'm glad this is recorded. I can go back and watch it because I didn't hear like half of the things she said because I was just so focused on Glenn just starting stuff in the chat.
That's
Him
our
and
boy
Amari,
Glenn.
and then Amari just sits on the sideline and he just eggs people on.
Hey, Ryan Fire, you know, they win on the field and they win in the chat. It's a good job. You got to get in there, Silas. Defend everybody else. So there we go. Now, Natalia is not the only woman having a lot of success in the European League of Football this year. We've got another interview as well. We've got Jessi Westering from the Paris Musketeers joining us on ELF Live. Jessi, thanks for coming on the show.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me.
Are you in Paris right now?
I am, yeah. It's Fashion Week, so of course.
Wow. Oh, are you year round in Paris or are you going back?
Yeah, I go home to see my family and my friends a lot, but for the most part, I'm here most of the time, yeah.
That's okay. See, that's huge. All right. I know you and I talked a little bit last year in Paris. And when I met you and you told me what you did, that's when I was like, dang, like, this is different. I've never been in Europe and been on a team where they actually have a director of operations from the US who knows a lot about the game and how to direct the players and stuff. And that showed me in that moment that this was for real. And I think so. That was the beginning of your first year in Paris, correct?
Yeah, I was in Germany before that.
Yeah, because you were the Straubing Spiders, right? What was that first year in Paris in this league doing this solely operations? What was that like?
Yeah, well, I mean, our front office is awesome. Between our owners, our general manager, and our president, like, I never felt like I was alone doing anything. And actually, all my background is in coaching, so I did not come in here with like a whole bunch of knowledge and just like moving things left and right. I mean, you know, they asked me to come and work hard and do my best, and that's what I've been doing. And they've been awesome helping me figuring out Paris. Franzi and Marco, our GM and president, like, they are awesome, and they've helped me acclimate to Paris as well and just the French lifestyle. So it wasn't, I mean, we're all learning in this league because it's such a new league. Coaches, players, everybody is learning. And so, like, I think that if you just show up, like, willing to work and willing to be flexible, like, you'll succeed for sure.
Yeah. Jessi, sorry, just to back up a little bit here. Can you just give us a little bit of your background? I know you're from Washington. You played college basketball. How the hell did you end up out here working in the European League of Football? How did you go from there to here? Can you give us your story?
Yeah, it's really quickly. It's a great question. I don't really know the answer myself because sometimes it's a little bit, life is too crazy and fast. But I played college basketball in California, and so I lived in Los Angeles area, and that's where I started coaching football. And then I moved to Kansas, and I went from Los Angeles to a small town called Manhattan, Kansas, and I was at Kansas State for 2 years. And then I went from there to Germany, and I was in the GFL 1 with the Straubing Spiders. So my dad has been a head football coach my whole life. His dad was a head football coach and is now in the College Football Hall of Fame. And so it's kind of, if you've seen the movie Remember the Titans, there's the dynamic between the dad and his daughter. And that is like my life story. So I will stop talking and you just go watch the movie.
Yeah, if you've not seen Remember the Titans, watch that and then you'll understand it. That's awesome. So how does it feel though? Because you've been like in the coaching world up until last year, and even like with Straubing. How does it feel to go from the coaching side of things to the operation side of things?
Yeah, it's different. I think there are like certain principles, like, you know, hard work, grit, just kind of get stuff done, like that you take wherever you go, no matter what you work, no matter what you work in. But I definitely went from like swinging a whistle and like shorts and tennis shoes to now like, oh yeah, there's a lot of things to plan for. I mean, I think my team helped me, and like we had an awesome set of guys that were willing to be flexible as well. We're a brand new organization, so we just kind of moved together. But I mean, from being an athlete to being a coach, I just took everything the same. I didn't honestly change anything that much. You just have to communicate a lot more as well. And so I was like super blessed to have people that I could go to for questions. And the ELF is very like, it's an awesome community, because if I had any questions too, I could reach out to other teams that have had years in the past before. And that was awesome. So anytime we had a home or away game, I would always chat with other staffs to see like what they were doing that worked. And we even, like where I met Silas, like the guards came and scrimmaged us before the season started. So that was super awesome just to get information from them. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's a cool thing kind of about the American football community in Europe, is it kind of feels like obviously they're teams playing against each other, competing against each other, but also there's this kind of like unifying factor and feeling that there's this European football community that's trying to grow the game, which I think is a pretty cool thing. So can you talk a little bit about the Paris Musketeers? Because I think obviously everyone knows there was a first-year program last year, first-year franchise. But it seems like you guys are very legit in a lot of facets. You have a lot of legit people, yourself included, in many positions. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like working for the Paris Musketeers, and just how that is for you?
Yeah, it's so much fun. I think like anytime that I go to work with somebody, it's a team environment. So it's not, again, like you never feel like, oh, I'm alone doing this job, I have to figure this out. It's so much fun. Like we're just kind of like a good old boys club where we just like come in and hang out and figure stuff out as we go. Paris, I don't know if you've ever been here, but it's massive. So we have to take that into account pretty much in everything we do. But we're a French team. We're not trying to be this American team that comes in with only Americans and does everything the American way. Like we are doing everything we possibly can to implement ourselves into this society. Like we are not just here to play football in this community. Like we want to be a part of this community. We want to give back and help. And so everything in Paris has a level. I mean, it's an iconic city, if not the most iconic city in the world. And so it's everything we do, we know we're holding ourselves up to that standard, not just a standard of a football team. So that's in every way. That's from our practices, from our operational anything, from our front office, our players. Everybody knows that we hold ourselves to that standard. And so it makes it easier when we go to work, because there's no questions about like, oh, like, how are we supposed to do this? Like, we're supposed to do this with the best standard like in mind. And so working for Paris has been awesome ever since day one. I mean, since the combine we had in 2 Novembers ago. And like I love our players. They're hilarious and a blast and such hard workers. Our head coach is top tier. Like he has done an awesome job since he's been here, our front office and everybody. I never question if like people are doing their job. It's like, we're always working our hardest. You look to your left and look to your right and you're like, you know what? We're just working our, and it's ended up being pretty dang awesome. So it's been pretty fun.
How, what would you say is the cultural, how would you say the cultural aspects of French people, how does that affect the players, or does it, and like what have you seen in those differences?
Yeah, France, I think so. Before I moved to Paris, I'd never been here. I've lived in Germany, obviously, and I've been to a lot of other countries. And so when I moved to France, a lot of people had opinions, but a lot of people have not actually been here. So, I think the opinion that I'd heard the most that was French people are very proud, and people kind of had a negative connotation to that. And honestly, I am here for anybody listening, that is just not true. The French are proud because they're amazing people. The French know how to love people. They know how to serve people. They hold themselves to a standard because they have respect for themselves. And I think that people from the outside looking in can sometimes misunderstand that. But when you're here, like what we've just done as an organization and our players is we hold ourselves to a standard as well, because we have the utmost respect for ourselves and for what we do. And so it's been super fun to work with so many French people and learn, and like I'm learning the language. However, if anybody's watching that knows, I'm not very good at it. So we're learning as we go, but you just, it's a funny country. You have to be willing to laugh at yourself when you live in any new country. So like, you don't sometimes know the etiquette, or I'm not a big baguette gal, but everybody eats them here. So like, you just kind of like grab it and go. So stuff like that. I think though, it's been I mean, you guys can attest to this because you've lived in different countries, but when you live in a country with a culture different than your own, your eyes are open so much more.
Right.
Absolutely. Now I see we've got a couple in the chat. We've got some exciting people. We've got Jason Johnson, one of the owners of Paris. What's up, Jason? He said, how did you get the nickname the Paris Blonde? I don't know if you want to go into that. You don't have to. And then also that your grandfather ranks 12th all time in college football wins. So obviously you have come from a very strong football bloodline. Can you talk just a little bit before we let you go, just a little bit about that? I know you said, obviously your life is kind of like remember the Titans growing up, but can you talk a little bit about growing up in such a kind of prolific football family and now to be working in the football world as an adult?
For sure. Yeah. Well, my grandfather was second to some of my other family members, my parents and my sister and brother. My grandfather was my favorite human ever. And what I think one of the things I learned most from him is people sometimes can be exactly who they present themselves to be. Sometimes, especially like when you get on a big stage, everyone's like, oh, they can't be, that kind in person or that nice or happy in person. But that was who my grandfather was. And he coined a phrase, make the big time where you are. So he's the 12th winningest coach in the history of college football, better than a lot of coaches that people have heard more of. However, he did that all at a Division III school. And he has more national championships than on one hand. He has all the accolades, but he was one of the best, one of the humblest people you will ever meet. And he wrote 2 books on that. And so like coming from that, there wasn't much of this like, oh, like I have to be good at whatever I do or I have to win, because that's not necessarily what it's about. Like you make the big time where you are, wherever you are. Like when I was in Straubing, Germany, which is one of my favorite cities now of all time, versus Paris, versus Seattle, versus Manhattan, Kansas, wherever you are, like you make the big time where you are because you are fully in control of your life. And so coming from him was pretty awesome. I mean, it's kind of a little intimidating too when you think about the wins, and especially now when I'm going down more of a like front office career path rather than just coaching. But I take everything from what I got from him with what I do now. So yeah, he will be dearly missed, or he is dearly missed every single day. But he was amazing.
That's awesome.
That is really awesome, Jessi. And it's cool to have those kind of people that you could look up to in the football world, both like on the personal level and then in the professional level. And I'm sure he gave you both of that. We've got a million questions for you, but we do have to let you go. A couple more things. John is in the chat. Jessi is world-class, just like Paris. So we've got another Paris owner here in the chat. Exciting stuff.
They're the absolute
They're
best.
cool guys.
And by the way, I don't think I've ever seen them in the chat before, so they just came here for you. So that should make you feel pretty good. They do not care about us.
Here's the thing. I think everybody that is involved in this team is world class at what they do, and they're titans in their own fields. And so the fact that they even have like 30 seconds to spare is impressive. Like everybody here is world class. So I'm just lucky to be a part of it. And to be a token blonde is solid.
There you go. Big fan of what you guys are doing over there in Paris. Jessi, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing everything with us. And good luck this year for the Musketeers. And a lot of people are excited about this franchise. And so we're looking forward to it. Thanks a lot, Jessi.
Thank you,
Jessi.
Here we go. John says he's longtime lurker, first-time commenter. First-time typer.
Good.
There we go.
Good to hear.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
After hearing all those good things from Jessi about Paris and just how wonderful it is, now it all makes sense. That's the 4-8. The 4-8 makes sense.
I think they finished 6-6, shooting 5 shots. They did though. But what she was saying, I want just before we go, we have to go to commercial break. I think it was Jason posted a thing of kind of the logo and the branding that the Musketeers worked on, like when they were creating the creating the franchise, and just seeing the depth that they went into just creating the logos and creating the branding and the meaning behind it, and kind of like the historical meaning and everything they put into it. They're really thinking this thing through and thinking long term, and I'm a big fan of what they're doing in Paris, man.
Well, I think we do have to go to a commercial break, but I'll share something right after.
Okay.
Here's a
Commercial break.
Commercial break. Zero transition.
Dang it.
Sí, ¿vos de qué parte sos?
Yo de aquí.
Ah, mira.
Butchering names.
And we're back. We're back.
Hey, what were you gonna say?
What I was gonna say about Paris was, this is what I like about Paris. From my perspective of teams and being on different teams, Paris is all in. When the owners or whoever started it, and I'm assuming John and Jason are a lot part of that. They said, hey, if we're doing this, let's do it. Let's go all in. We're going to invest into this. We're going to get the right people, and we're going to pay what it costs. A lot of teams that I've been on, in fact, I would say majority of the teams operate this way. They operate like, hey, we're going to go 50% in, and then if it's kind of going well, then we'll maybe put a little bit more in. And then if it's not, then we'll kind of slow down. That just doesn't work. And Paris, even when I first got there, when I talked to Coach Mattioli.
Yeah, Mark Mattioli.
Mark and Jessi, and just saw what they were doing in Paris, I was like, okay, like these people are for real about trying to make this work.
Yeah.
And they're putting their money where their mouth is. And that isn't something that you see often, because it's scary to do that when you're not sure if a franchise is going to work or not.
Right. Yeah, 100%, man. They're going all in, and they're doing everything to like a depth and a level that I think, some other teams aren't, maybe. And they're really living up. I think when you start a franchise in a city as famous and glamorous as Paris, you have to create something that's very strong, and you can't half-ass it. And they're not doing that. They're going all out, man. And I think that they're going to be a good franchise for a while, and they're creating something long-term. So big stuff for Paris. So Silas, you want to bring us in? We got one final interview to
our final guest interview. And I'm really excited about this person in particular, because they are with Vienna, the Vienna Vikings. And I that's a team that I've always observed from afar and thought, like, that's that giant team in like almost far away that I haven't really ever learned too much about. So I'm excited for our guests, Marianne. I'm going to probably butcher this. Pahkala, our special teams. She's a special teams coordinator and strength and conditioning coach from Vienna. Welcome to the show, Marianne.
Thank you. How are you guys doing?
Good. Did I pronounce your name correct?
Oh, it's close enough. It's good.
It's good enough, Silas.
Good
enough, is it?
Hey, it was a lot better than when Nick was saying it before the show. It was a lot worse. Okay.
You did great, Silas. Marianne, so can you give us a little of your story? Obviously, you are the strength and conditioning coach for the Vienna Vikings, but also the special teams coordinator. I believe the first female coordinator in the ELF. Can you just give us a little bit of your backstory in the sport, in the football world? How did you get to this point?
Ooh, it's been a long story. It's been a hell of a 15 years to get to this point. I started off just like pretty much any coach, anybody involved in football starts off with. I fell in love with the game. I wanted to play at the highest level attainable. I wanted to play in the NFL. And then I realized that, there are some limitations that I have. I wasn't all that and a bag of chips, and I realized that maybe coaching is the way I can get to that point. Moved to the U.S., played rugby, ran track in college on a scholarship, started coaching career during my bachelor's degree, and has continued to work towards that. I've said yes to every single internship opportunity, job opportunity thrown my way, And somehow I'm here now. I don't even know how I'm here right now.
So wait, let me get this straight. You actually played football in Finland.
Yes.
How
I
did
played
you,
as a kid for a little bit, and then I played in the women's league for a bit.
how did you first discover football, and why did you want to play it?
My friends took me out there. They were like, hey, there's a team over here, cool sport. Let's go. Let's get our aggressions out. And went over there, you know. It was this smell of fresh grass, you know, or a dirty old turf. I don't know what it was, but it was something.
That's so awesome.
You have quite a bit of football experience, and even in the States, and if I'm not mistaken, have experience with like D1 programs like Georgia. Can you talk a little bit about some of these experiences and the skills and stuff you learned and have now brought back to Europe?
Yeah, I worked with quite a few Division I colleges, Nebraska, Rice University, and University of Georgia, like you mentioned. Man, those were great experiences. Just like seeing how those meat grinders operate, how boys are turned into men. Like, it's great to see from the inside and actually learn from those coaches that are there. Learned a lot from the players that were there. Getting cussed out and accidentally spit on the face in the process by Kirby Smart has definitely been one of the highlights of my career so far. Like, just experiencing stuff like that, being part of those programs, it's just been amazing.
So what connected you to the Vikings? Tell us what got you there originally. Who brought you?
This is the whole thing that I'm always preaching to others, is that your network is your net worth. You got to meet the right people and they will take you to the right places. I was introduced to Coach Karajica over here through his former assistant, Coach Kösling. And they brought me in for an interview and ended up eventually joining the team here.
Marianne, you were the first ever female coordinator in the ELF. How does this feel to have kind of set such a milestone?
It's great. Now there's somebody who smells good in our coordinator meetings, so I'm very happy about that. It's amazing. Like, you know, I'm happy if sorry guys. If any female looks up to me and thinks this is what they want to do in the future, what they want to achieve in the future, I'm very happy to be that example for them. But on the other hand, I am very nervous as well. Obviously, I'm a first-time coordinator. Anybody would be nervous. But there is the additional target on my back of, you know, somebody's just waiting to, you know, comment women don't belong in football under something I end up doing. I know I'm going to fail at some point, hopefully in the practices leading up to the season. But nervous and excited and very happy to lead the way for other women to follow me.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another question that I have is, what would you say to a young girl or a young woman who is kind of looking up to you and wanting to get into football? What advice would you give them to kind of get to, not necessarily to the point where you are, but to kind of be able to enter into the football world, a world that obviously is such a male-dominated sport?
This is a controversial opinion, but I would tell them to stop looking at themselves as young women wanting to enter this profession. Start looking at themselves as young professionals entering this industry right away. I get it that there are different rules in place. You know, there are differences when it comes to men and women, but it's not up to the women to decide where they end up getting the opportunities. That is for the men who are in this profession to give them the opportunity to join their staffs and get that experience. So start working, start taking every opportunity, keep your nose clean, do the right thing, don't get in trouble, network. There's a ton of good advice I could give to the young women, but I don't want to say that it's for the girls only. They can't see their gender as a barrier. I've never seen it as a barrier. You just go out there and do what the boys would do, essentially. It's the same thing.
Now, you said like basically gender aside, in your opinion, what type of person does belong to the sport of American football?
Good question.
Somebody who doesn't care about work-life balance. 100%. You have to be extremely passionate. You have to be willing to be coachable. You have to make mistakes and recover from them. You have to, learn from everything, take every opportunity. That's the type of person. That's the thing. You got to have balls to be in this world. Female or male, you gotta have balls.
I love that.
That is the greatest line that has ever been said on the ELF live show.
Clip it, make a clip. Maxie, get working on the clip.
Can you define balls for us?
It's that attitude. It's like what you carry into the building when you come in. You can't be there apologizing like, hey, sorry, I'm here trying to do this and that. You're over there like, all right, listen up. Like, I'm here. You guys are here. Let's get this shit done.
Yeah, it's a belief. Like, I hear you saying that what it takes to really be a part of American football is somebody who isn't afraid to just get on the field, metaphorically as well, but literally get on the field and go hit somebody. It's kind of that mindset, whether you're playing on the field or you're a coach or you're in operations, you're not afraid to go out there and make it happen.
Exactly. You got to be willing to, accept all the failures and setbacks that are going to come your way. Believe me, I've had a ton of those throughout my career. I've been wanting to quit a million times, but I've kept on going because, I wanted to be out there. I made it in my mission. That's what it is.
Absolutely. And lastly, Coach Pahkala, before we let you go, I just want to know, can you talk a little bit about working with such a great organization? The Vienna Vikings obviously has been one of the most successful organizations in Europe. Everybody knows about them. And it's an organization that I think does things well. Can you just talk a little bit about what it's like, coaching under Coach Karajica and working at this organization?
Man, this is a very, very special organization. And we talk about family and brotherhood, but that was the first thing that I felt here. And the thing is that it's a lot of that American stuff that Coach Karajica and others have brought over the years, me included. I've brought a lot of American tendencies here. But we respect the Austrian culture, the Viennese culture, what they already have in place, how people here operate. And we just combine those into an organization that runs like this, a well-oiled machine. And Coach Karajica specifically, I would like to talk about Coach Karajica coaching tree. Like, our coaching staff, a lot of coaches in Europe have learned from that guy. And now I'm one of those people learning under him. And man, it's just great. We share an office here in the building, and, having those small conversations with him, learning from him on the daily, that man knows so much. It blows my mind every day.
Yeah. Oh, he's legit. Yeah. His coaching tree is, there's something to be said there. Even like Jordan Newman, he coached under him for many years, and now is a successful coach in his own right. So yeah, that's really awesome that, you're getting to be a part of this and learn from him. And, I just think it's so cool that you are now going to be a coordinator, and congratulations for that and everything that you guys are doing in Vienna. Silas, you got anything else before we let her go?
No, I just think that you're a stud, and you inspired me today. I feel like I need to get
Run through a wall.
some bigger balls.
Yeah.
If you leave us with one thing, it's that football is for people with balls. Metaphorical balls. Coach, thank you very much for joining us on the show. It's awesome to talk to you. Good luck to you guys in the Vienna Vikings this year for 2024. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. That was that might be the statement of the year, bro.
they better make a reel. They better make a TikTok. Whatever the kids are watching nowadays of that. That was a great interview. She's impressive, man. She's legit. I can see why that she's a coordinator.
Yeah, she's fiery, man.
Yeah.
That's what you got. I think that's what she was kind of getting at, was just like, you gotta, you can't be timid. American football, like, it's just not a timid sport.
Right.
And I think that's what draws people like Mariana to the sport. People who, since they were kids, they didn't like the idea of being timid. They wanted to go after things. They wanted to go hit something. And yeah, I just love that. I love seeing that same, I don't even know how to describe it. Football players will understand this, but that just feeling of just like, before you run out the tunnel and then just like you want to go hit something, that it's almost like if you could encapsulate that into a mindset.
Exactly. Absolutely, man. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, not being sorry, we just got a message here from our producers. Check the message. What is that?
What message?
I don't know what they want us to say right there.
What are you looking at?
They're sending us messages on this. Moving on. But anyway, what you were saying, Silas, the kind of the tenacity of that, and like, go out and get it mentality, be the hammer, not the nail mentality. That translates obviously in football, but in many different aspects in life. And that's why we see people with these characteristics coming in and being a part of football. And it's for everybody. It's not just limited to one type of person. Anybody who's got this mentality and wants to have this mentality can be involved in football. And we saw that with this show tonight and our guests this evening.
I don't know what's happening, bro.
What? So our producers are sending us strange messages, and we're not
what we
sure.
love about the ELF live show. It's live,
guys. It's live. You know, this is not polished. This is what they want. This is what we have to tell you. We are 121 days from kickoff of the 2024 ELF season. 121 days. So it's rolling in fast, guys. We got a lot of exciting stuff happening in this league this year. Like, it's really pretty damn cool, Silas. Really is.
Yeah, bro. And this is what I love about it right now. This show is such a picture of the league altogether. It's like, it's raw, it's real, it's people fighting for something that is good, and the authenticity and the purity of the sport is still there. Like, this isn't a polished scripted show with people telling us what to say, and like, it's, you know, you got makeup before. Like, Nick sure as heck doesn't have anybody helping him with his face, you know, like, it's obvious. Like, look right
Clearly.
there. The evidence is right there. Like, this is real. And
we don't.
But one day, this league is gonna be like, you know, a college football where you have game days and stuff. And my hope is that, and Roby alluded to this a couple weeks ago,
right,
that the purity of the game stays the same, even if more money and more sponsorships and bigger stadiums, all of that stuff happens. This league and the purity of the sport stays the same.
Absolutely, that's where I hope we're headed, and I think we're taking good steps in the right direction. And now you guys can check the ELF Insta for some special information, I believe. But that's okay. I checked. All right, Maxie. Maxie's texting me the whole time? All right, guys, these disturbances are from our producer, Maxie. What is Maxie? You want me to check the Instagram? What? All right, let's see. Oh, nice. Okay, they clipped it. They put the post up already.
Okay, they already did it.
You gotta have balls, and I think that is exactly where we should leave the show this week. Silas, that was a fun one, man.
Dude, so good, bro. So good.
I like that it's not polished. I like that it's just sometimes a little chaotic.
Look at this. This show is out of control.
You're damn right. All right, I gotta go eat dinner now, man. Okay, it's late here in Germany. I know it's noon over there.
And brush your teeth. Don't forget to brush your teeth.
Go to the dentist. I'm gonna put some makeup on my face.
Somebody send now to the a link to like a German dentist and arts. Artsen or whatever. No, that's doctor. What's a German dentist? Zahnarzt.
There you go. Please send help. All right, guys. Silas, that was a fun one, brother.
Great one. Guys,
Hey.
we love you. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.